afternoon, and good evening to y'all. My name is ZJ, and welcome to ZJ Vlogs. This is not another vlog, so today we're going to do another reviewer because my friends need help, and maybe you guys need too. So today we'll be talking about geometric transformation and quadratic inequalities. So yeah, come along with me so that maybe in your exams you guys might pass. And yeah, let's get started. Let's go. So, the geometric transformation, these are operations that can change the position or side of a polygon while preserving their base and properties. So, like, you think of it as like, example, a square. We're going to either enlarge, shrink, or move it anywhere. Basta, it still preserves its natural shape on its specific property of the polygon. So, for this, we're going to be using the well-known Cartesian plane. So the Cartesian plane is a 2D grid by a perpendicular line. So what do we mean by perpendicular? Perpendicular meaning they cross each other. So if you might have guessed, the name of the plane is also named after a person named René Descartes. So he founded the Cartesian plane in 1637. Fun fact, while he was making this plane, he thought of an idea of making this because he saw a fly in a ceiling. Pretty random, right? And he said, you know what? How many inches does this guy have against me? So he counted from the base up and then side, left, or down. So the x-axis is the horizontal line in our plane, which is this one. It's also called abscissa. I don't know how to pronounce it, but you let me know. The y-axis naman is the vertical line or the ordinate. So this is the guy. So fun fact, if we go how to know if they're positive and negative, right and up are positive. So it's like 1, so 0 to infinite is positive. Here is, in this left side is the x of 0 and negative infinite because this is going backwards. Same goes here for y. This is positive, so 0 to infinite, and this downwards is negative, so 0 to negative infinite. So we have the notations. So we have two types of notations. We have the pre-image and the image. So what's the difference between the both of them? The pre-image, from the word pre, that means it's the before. So this is the original placement or structure of a polygon. So example, if we're going to put it on a coordinate, we'll say 3, 4. Let's say 3, 4. That will be our pre-image because this is our original placement or structure of a polygon or their coordinate. Now the image, on the other hand, is the new and updated placement or structure of a polygon. So let's say from 3, 4 it got moved to let's say -6 and 7. This is what we call the new or the image, basically. So the notation we'll be using is this, like quid, apostrophe. This is what we call the prime notation. Example, from A it will become A prime. So let's write down the 3 and 4. A equals 3 and 4. So how we're gonna do this is going to be equal to A prime -6, 7. So boom, you got it. That's easy, right? So we got two types of transformations, because we're doing geometric transformation. So we have rigid transformations, which preserves the shape and size of a polygon, but they're just moved somewhere else. And non-rigid transformation is basically the same as rigid, except the shape is the same but the size is not. So it's like this one, non-rigid, is basically what we call enlarged and shrunken, if I'm correct. Oh, wait. So we have enlargement, which makes it big, and reduction, which makes it small. So later I'll explain it to you guys. So let's start with the rigid type. So let's start with translation. So translation is a rigid transformation which a shape is moved vertically or horizontally. So example, we have a square. Example, we'll imagine a square there. It will either move up, down, left, or right. So it's just like moving positions. So for the formula, you will do is x plus a and y plus b. So a tells us how far left or right. So this is used for the x. So and b tells how far up or down is. So like I said before, positive is up and right, and negative is left and down. So positive right means x positive coordinate, and then or left x, which is the negative x coordinate. Same goes for the y coordinate, which is y positive. It will be the positive up, so that's up, so that will be the y coordinate, and then down is the negative y coordinate. So we have a few questions here. So here's the given. L is 2 and 12. A is 4 and negative 6. R is negative 2 and 8. Sorry, I forgot to add the negative. And P is negative 5 and 10. So, and our given for A and B is 3 and negative 5. So we're gonna add it 2 plus 3 and 12, which is given here, minus our B, which is 5. So let's do the same here. 4 and negative 6, 4 plus 3, and negative 6 minus 5, because this is our given. R, negative 2 and 8, so negative 2 plus 3 and 8 minus 5. And last, negative 5 and 10, so negative 5 plus 3 and 10 minus 5. Next, what you're gonna do is add these notations, the prime notations, because this will be important to know if they are different. So let's solve. 2 plus 3 is 5, so that will be our x. 12 minus 5 is 7, so our L will be 5, 7. Next, 4 plus 3, 7. Negative 6 minus 5 is negative 11. So that would be 7 and negative 11. Next, R. Negative 2 plus 3 is 1. Write that down. And then 8 minus 5 is 3. And P, negative 5 and 10. So negative 5 plus 3, it will become negative 2. And last, 10 minus 5 is 5. So I'm too lazy to put this on a Cartesian plane, but if you put it in a Cartesian plane, you'll see that its size did not change. It's just the positions changed. So if you want to try it out yourself, graph it inside your graphic notebooks if you guys have a graphic paper, and you'll see why I said it is just the same size, but they're just in a different position. Now let's move on to our second transform. Oh, I must remind you, in the translation, you gotta compare both pre-image and image together, and it goes for the same for the others, like reflection, rotation, and dilation. So in reflection, it's easy to say this, pero I'll explain it a bit further. So reflection, it reflects on its own axis, so whatever is on the positive, it will also happen on the negative. But there's a few rules here. So in the x-axis, on the x-axis, the x is retained and it is not multiplied times -1. It's only applied to y. And in the y-axis, x is the one who is multiplied by -1, but not y. It's retained. That's the ruling here in reflection. But in the others, because there's like 4 more, it's different. Here, if there's an equals and it doesn't say just the axis, it's example y equals to -x, both have to be multiplied by -1. And if it's the same here, if it's a positive, both will have to be multiplied by +1. Here, I'll explain this later. Let's start by solving these. So a is equal to 2, 3, or x is 2 and y is 3. And we're looking for the x-axis of it. So that will be our prime will be prime a prime equal to, what is the x-axis? We retain x, which is 2, but we multiply y and y by -1. So 3 times -1 is -3. Now you got your ano. You also have to check it again inside the graphing paper or the Cartesian plane to see if they are reflecting each other. Now we have the y-axis. So like we said, it's the same as the x-axis, pero si y naman ang retained, or the one who is not being multiplied by -1. So we have letter B here. So we'll have B prime. So like we said, -x, so -1 times -1, that will be equal to 1. And then retain lang si y, so magiging -3. Ayan, so pwede nyo nang ulit i-check sa Cartesian plane if they are reflecting each other. Now let's go here to the more complex one. So here kasi, instead of x and y, ibabalik na natin sila. So magiging y and x. Kaya nakalagay dito y, x. So we're gonna go by order. Pero may negative sign si x. So i-multiply natin sila both by -1. Kaya naging -y and -x. Here we have 12 and 5. So let's make it C prime. And ang unang gagawin natin is pagpapalitan natin si 12 and si 5. So magiging 5, 12. Pero we're going to use the ruling of y is equal to -x. So magiging -y and -x sila. So magiging -5 and -12. So next, we have y equals to x. So it will just be baliktad lang si x and y. So magiging y and x lang. So we have 1 and 5. So the prime is equal to 5 and 1. That's it. Now here's the harder one. So we know that h is equal to x in the quadratic equation. So now what we're going to do is we'll multiply it by 2 by the given h, and then times the y minus the given x, and then retain lang si y. Pero dito naman, this is y by the way, dito naman y is equal to k in the quadratic equation. So it will be retain lang si x, pero the same thing what we did to the x here, magiging 2 times k, yung given ni k, minus yung given ni y. So let's try it here to further understand. So we have 6 and 7, and let's say the given h would be 3. Let's say that. So ang magiging e prime natin ay magiging, so we'll write this like this muna para hindi malito tayong lahat. 2, and yung given natin times 3, tapos minus yung x natin si 6, tapos retain lang si 7, and that will be 6, 2 times 3 is 6, and minus 6 is 0, so 0 and 7. Don't forget that we're still using the PEMDAS rule. So yan. Next, y is equal to k and x is 2ky. So now, let's say h is given to us negative 2. No, k is equal to negative 2. So f prime is equal to, retain si negative 8, tapos this is the longer one, 2 times yung given ni k, negative 2, and then minus negative 9. It's long, so maging negative 8. So negative 4, diba? Kasi 2 times 2, 4 times negative, edi negative 4 plus 9 kasi ano lang natin plus, so negative 4 plus 9, that would be 5. Ayan, tapos na tayo sa reflection. Let's go to rotation. So the last rigid transformation we have is the third one, is rotation. So like we know about rotation, so like the clock, this is a rigid transformation in which the shape is turned in a certain number of degrees around the given point. So in a clock, we have the clockwise, so it's going right? And we have the counterclockwise, which you'll see in toilets. When you flush, they'll go left. So let's start with 90 degrees. So 90 degrees clockwise or 90 degrees to the right. Ang gagawin natin, babalik natin from x to y ay magiging y to negative x. So dapat si x ay nasa left side pero si y nasa taas. And sa counterclockwise naman, baliktad si y and x, pero same pa rin silang y, x. What I mean is that negative naman si y and si x naman ang positive. So, we have a question here. So, ang x natin ay si 4 and ang y natin ay si 10. So, they want us to rotate this 90 degrees clockwise or right. And ang ruling natin, y, and magiging 10, kasi siya ang y natin. Ito magiging z prime 10, and si x naman from 4 magiging negative 4. J. So ang j natin is 1, 3. So x is 1, y is 3. Now, ngayon, instead of clockwise, pinapagawa sa atin 90 degrees counterclockwise. So, ang counterclockwise naman natin is, sabi natin ulit si 3 and si 1 kasi baliktaran sila. Ang difference naman, si 3 naman ang magiging negative. And retain lang si 1. And if you compare them in the graphic notebook that you guys have on the Cartesian plane, you'll see that you have rotated what you have, the original, the pre-image, and your image will be rotated 90 degrees clockwise or counterclockwise, depending on where you guys put it. Next, we have the easiest one, which is going to be 180. So in 180, from your normal x to y, it will just be negative. Because 180 is just flat. Because example, this is 90 degrees. This is also 90 degrees. This is 180. Kasi 90 plus 90, 180. Basically, half a circle. So, now, we have here 12 and 15. And our R prime will be, since it was just negative both, magiging negative 12, negative 15. So, there are some similarities of them with the, what you call this, reflection, but here you're just rotating it. It's not reflecting on each other. So now we have 270. So this is basically 90 degrees, but the other side, so it's times 3. So 270 clockwise is now basically 90 degrees counterclockwise. So ngayon, magiging negative y and x sa clockwise ng 270. You see the difference na? So now, we have this. So we have f is 1 is our x and 2 is our y. So 270 clockwise. So we're gonna have to do this. And now we have to do f prime is equal to, ang 2 natin, so copy the negative sign, so negative 2 and 1. That's it. Next. 9 and 12, so 270 counterclockwise. So, anong ruling nasa counterclockwise? Si y ang magiging retained and si x naman ang magiging negative. So, we'll have g prime is equal to 12. And now, our negative 9. And boom, you're finished. That's what rotation is. So if you're wondering why I'm telling you guys na to use the Cartesian plane, because you never know if you are right, if it's a translation, reflection, or rotation, because some might get mixed up. That's why I want you to compare the pre-image to the image. Now, the reason why I only did one for each number, like one question, is because I don't want to do like 4 letters, because it's basically 4 letters for 4 or 3 to make a polygon, because triangles are 3 and quadrilaterals are 4 sides. And that's why I only made one question for each. So, warning po, you guys have to think inside those questions properly, but think outside the box. Like, you have to solve it properly. Do not use shortcuts, because sometimes it becomes a bit inaccurate. So yeah, especially if you want to get the precise coordinate for each one, I suggest you do the long way. Example, if there are 4 given values and 4 letters, you have to do each with the prime notation. So like earlier from the translation, LARP, so LARP, so there will be prime notation of an apostrophe at the end of the letter, like L prime, A prime, R prime, and P prime. They will become the new image for the pre-image. So yeah, that's my only warning. So yeah, onto the video again. Now we move to the non-rigid transformations, which is only one really. It is dilation. It is a non-rigid transformation which a shape gets bigger or smaller. So it's basically a scale factor, as it says over there. And you know, when you're editing in Canva, you'll see you can shrink it from the pixels. Like there's a number system on the coordinates. So yeah, this is what it will do. So K is our scale factor in this one. So it's different from the Y is equal to K. So if K is less than 1, that's what we call reduction. So from -1 to -infinity, that is called reduction. And if K is greater than 1, that's what we call enlargement. So that would be 2 to infinite. And ano pala, for the K is less than 1, it's -2 to infinite. Because if it's 1, it's just retained. So let's start with this one. We have K here as -3. So, and our ruling is X times K and Y times K. So, what we're gonna do is we'll just multiply them. So, -3 times 2, or just 2 times -3, that will be -6. And then 5 times -3 is -15. That will be our L prime. Next, we have O is equal to 37. So 3 times -3 is -9. So O prime is -9. And then O, and then let's say, what was it? Oh yeah, 7 times -3 is -21. So V is 4 and 6. So 4 times -3, V prime is -12, and 6 times -3, -18. And last, E is equal to 8 and 2. So E prime is equal to 8 times -3, -24. And then 2 times 3, -3 for now, is -6. So if you put this in your scale factor, or in the Cartesian plane, you'll see if it shrunk or it grew. So since it is a negative, or K, it will have to be reduction. So this has to be a small box. Y'all did very well for your first time here. Now let's go to the quadratic inequalities. So now we all remember who the quadratic equation is, right? Ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. But here in quadratic inequality, it is written in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c is either less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to all 0. So what this means, these circle thingies, so in here we're not using a Cartesian plane, but rather we're just using a normal number line. An open circle means like these both greater than and less than. The open circles mean these are not included numbers. And while this one, less than or equal to and greater than or equal to, these both are included. So let's get an example. So we have a question here. X squared plus x minus 20 is greater than 0. So what we're gonna do first is we're going to factor this out. So what are factors that can be multiplied to -20 but equal to just 1, or x? So we have x and then plus and x and minus, Yan, para malaki. So we have 20. So what are two multiples that we can multiply to get the answer or the product? Now that would be 5 and 4. It doesn't matter kung binaliktad mo C4 or C5 because they're just basically the same. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do the subtraction property of equality, or if you guys want it in another way, we can just transpose it. So magiging negative 5 na siya. This one will become positive 4. So does this mean we are done? The answer is no. So we're going to put this muna in a number line. So let me do this. So we have our number line now. This is 1 to 10. So we're going to look for our two values, which is negative 5 and 4. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4. So here's 4. So let's go here. Let's just mark that here. And where's 5? Negative 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here is negative 5. And what is, do you remember our inequality? Was it greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to? This is greater than, so hindi siya included. So magiging circle lang siya. Open circle. Open circle. So is this it? Well, the answer is not yet. So we'll separate this muna, because we're going to do something that you guys haven't heard of. So first, we're going to write in this one, x is less than, what is this? Negative 5. Because this is negative 6 to negative infinity, that is, they are less than negative 5. So later we'll discuss this one. This one naman will be x is greater than, what is this? Positive 4. So 5 to infinity, they are the x greater than 4. So now this is the tricky one because this is long. So I will put this in interval notation. So negative infinity, sorry for the pangit na infinity, not that good, and negative 5 is union to 4 infinity. So that is our interval notation, the final answer for an interval notation. So we will write that down here. Negative infinity, negative 5, and then union to 4 and infinite. So are we done? Not yet. So here what we're going to do is pick a random number and wait, basta on these requirements. Example, let's start here and greater than 4. So let's pick 6. Let's try 6. So we'll multiply this by the given. So to check if it's bigger than 0, we'll have to do is 6 squared, because that will be our x. We chose 6, so plus 6 minus 20 is greater than 0. Let's see if this is true. 36, wait, 6 times 6, because 6 squared is equal to 36. plus 6 minus 20. So, let's see. 36 plus 6, 42 minus 20. That would be 22. So, our answer would be 22 is greater than 0. Is 22 greater than 0? That is true. So we'll put a true there. Now, you can do this with every number here, pero I don't recommend doing every single one of them because it's like gonna take you forever. If you wanna stick forever, sure. But I suggest just do one number. Next, we'll have to choose a random number from any x that is less than -5. So -6 to -infinity. So let's try -8. So let's try it. So -8 squared minus 8. Why is it called? My guys, 20. Just bless me. Is greater than 0. So let's try. 8 times 8, 64 positive. Minus 8 is 64 minus 8, that would be 56. Minus 20. 56 minus 20 is 36. Is greater than 0. So is 36 greater than 0? That is true. Now last we have this. Negative infinity and -5 is union to 4 and infinite. So we can choose any number from -4 to 3. So I'll pick, let's just pick 3. Yeah, let's go easy. So we have 3 squared plus 3 minus 20. So 9 plus 3 is 12 minus 20. That will lead us to -8. Is -8 greater than 0? That would be a false. So our answer will be now this and true sector 1, false in sector 2, and true on sector 3. So I won't show you not the greater than or equal to or less than or equal to, because the difference between the both of them is they are included numbers. So if it's just less than or greater than, they are open circles, and if they are greater than or equal or less than or equal, they are equal to closed circles. And don't forget, if the number is greater or less than 0, example 4 is greater than 0, that would be a true. Pero if the number is wrong, example -6 is greater than 0, that would put a false. So don't forget that. If they if they are tama, like it's less than or greater than 0, and you know that they are both greater than or less than 0, that would be true. If they are baliktad naman, if it's greater than 0 pero it's like a negative number, that is wrong. So gets nyo na? So I don't need to do the rational numbers because it's a bit longer, because mostly it has, instead of 0, it's more like 1, 2. You have to transpose it to the subtraction property of equality, or just transpose it back to the other side. And yeah, so that's pretty much it for today. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications bell. That way you won't miss a video ever again. Now I need sleep, guys. So yeah, up till then, peace. See you in the next vlog, guys.